All right. Any opening remarks? Are you happy? Have you had a hard day? What's going on for you? Just whoever wants to pipe in.
I have had a really good day. I worked with designing the tool I'm working on with our designer. So it have been a very creative, flowish day for me. So I'm tired but happy.
Nice.
Isidora?
Yeah, no, I have had a very productive day. So I'm also happy. There's a lot of things going on at the moment with work and ELS and lots of things.
Nice. My day has mostly been spent walking around, like pulling my beard and trying to figure out how to play this whole number of memberships game. So I'm also excited about getting into that. And there's Christian.
Hey.
Hi, Christian.
Hi.
Hey. I'm only in silhouette because I'm secret.
How was your day, Christian?
It was full of events, you can say. But I'm glad to be here. Yes.
All right. So let's get into the second point, which is purpose. So the reason why I put purpose in there in the agenda is that none of this teal stuff will actually quite work if we don't take it from somewhere that is based in principle and purpose and like why are we here. And so I would like to just open the floor a little bit and let anyone like pipe in with maybe a few words on why they want to be here today. Does that sound good? Who would like to go? Well, maybe I'll just start then. I want to be on this call today because I feel a little bit like in through all of the stuff that I've been working on with the like the seal processes, life process, and all that. This channel has kind of been neglected, and I really want to bring us back online because we're a bunch of really dedicated people, and it doesn't seem right to me that we shouldn't have the information and the alignment with each other's purposes and so on that we need to do this. So I'm happy to have this back online. Like I've said before, I'm best as a facilitator. My whole project management aspect is not my strongest suit. But hey, at least we're all here, so I'm happy about that. Anybody else on why they want to be here, like in the board at this meeting? Christian.
I long for the board to be just a sec. I long for the board to be a place where, well, I kind of have a great love for all of you guys, and the deepest respect, and I would love to feel this little group as a community, you could say. It hasn't been that for some time for me, but I hope we'll get back to that, both because it will feel nice, but also because I think it's needed. Hopefully in time, this group will just be a group that will sit around in pools drinking cocktails where everything unfolds around them. But right now, it's not the case. So I think it's essential that we get up and running on both a practical and emotional level. Okay.
Thank you. You want to pipe in though? When we'll be here.
Wait, give me 2 more minutes. I'm almost done with the installation.
All right.
All right.
I can pitch in and say that I really agree with Christian that it's, or I feel that my purpose is similar. Like I want to feel a little bit more connected to you guys, because right now it's a bunch of emails going back and forth, and I feel a little, like I feel like I want to be more connected to what's going on and how I can pitch in and what I can, I want to find my role.
Let's create this extended family, beautiful tribe we could be.
I can have my go.
Have your go. Go for it.
Yeah, okay. I'm glad I was asked to get back on the board, and I'm curious to see what role I can take. I hope that I can contribute somehow. At the moment, everything feels like I'm very confused about the whole lottery thing and how many tickets or memberships are really in the lottery. I can't get my head around it. So I hope for this meeting that I can have some clearance for myself and also for you to see how I can contribute with the board work from now on.
Yeah, no, I would also love for this group to have a good, establish a good working culture. That would be nice. And I'm here for clarity because I didn't go to the Teal meeting, and then I missed the meeting before Christmas. So I felt completely out of the loop what's going on at all, and I haven't been able to access any notes. And it just felt like all of a sudden, there was a quite vague decision to go Teal, and then all of a sudden, like all the governance was just gone, and various people were just doing things all over the place, and decision-making structures and stuff was not clear to me. So it's just it would be very interesting for me to just understand like what happened and how and what's going on, because it feels like there's been a huge split and divide and a lot of movement and
I agree, Isadora. I feel the same, and I thought it would be clearer since you're still on the board, but it's exactly the same thing for me.
Yeah.
Confusion.
Thank you. Jacob, you wanna check in?
I want to be here today because I want to talk a bit about the teal things as well, as we've said, like about how I think the advice process will work and like some thoughts and inputs I have on that. But like mainly, I just can't wait to get back to Borderland this summer, and this is the closest I can get right now, so I'm super happy to be here.
Nice. Thanks. All right. So
I haven't said, but maybe you are before. No, you have already had your 1 minute.
Go for it.
I'm here because I really believe in the teal way, but and I also have got some new energy from asking myself why I'm here, why am I engaged in the Borderland, and I have got a lot of energy from going into to understand what is the process of exploring the space between dream and reality. So that's where I stay and where I want to dig deeper.
Thanks. All right. God, I don't know where to start, but I guess the thing to talk about now is teal and what happened. And I guess I can just share from my perspective, sort of the trajectory that it took. Before the AGM, Matthias and I had a desire. Well, we had a proposal to move the governance into a teal structure. And then we had the teal weekend after, and the teal weekend was, yeah. What was it, Louis? No, tell us what it was.
It was very interesting, but
Yes, you want to share a little bit about your experience with the teal weekend?
Yeah, I think teal is a lot of both an organizational development, but also individual development. I think teal require people that also want to develop and take responsibility and so on. I can in some areas or some parts of the weekend, I agree it was vague. But in some other areas, I think we did a lot of good findings of how we should use teal. For example, I like that to make teal work, we need to have a good frame of what Boardland is. And I found it was really nice when we ended up and understanding the framing is about the space between dreams and realities. And that was a really wow. Yes, of course it is. So I think there was a number of good findings as well.
Are these findings, have they been written down? Are they anywhere to be read or taken part of? Or because the teal weekend just happened and then nothing, if you were not there, you don't know what came out of it.
Right. Exactly. And it's like, it has been also requested, because it's like, and this is sort of the weird part to me, because it's like we had an agreement at the AGM to go teal. Then there was a weekend, no outcomes from it, and no minutes from the last meeting, and all of a sudden processes just happened. So that was a little bit what was surprising to me, because to me it just felt like a few random people took the process and ran with it and did whatever they wanted, and there was no formal decision-making structures about things. And now governance around the Borderland is up for grabs, and we're circumventing NOMCOM, we're circumventing. There's no processes anymore, basically. That's sort of what I'm wondering a little bit about, because if there, and so it's like governance with a teal anarchy with a teal aspiration.
Yeah. No.
Can I say a thing?
Absolutely.
Now we're getting into it.
But are you going to do your teal thing now? Can we
want it?
Is that taking a long time?
I want to wait a little bit with it and then fit it in, because I feel like we have one elephant to deal with now, and that's going to be a second elephant. So
kind of the same elephant, but I can wait.
It's not.
I'll show it to you later.
All right, thanks. So a lot of this I'll take on myself. I find transparency to be really hard, which is one of the reasons I like. It's difficult for me to make it default by to make transparency by default. I'm not good at taking notes, and so I'll own that the first meeting I didn't call for minutes being written down. Although I will say that the first meeting was primarily about aligning purpose, and so it wasn't like we actually made a lot of concrete decisions there. the outcome of the teal weekend is it's also a little bit vague. Like this stuff isn't always reducible to the really concrete, and you could say that just makes it woo bullshit. But on the other hand, it's what it basically is about is talking a lot about what our purposes and principles are, and then generating processes from there. And so I can definitely see how it can look like anarchy from the outside, especially if you haven't been properly briefed about like how does this stuff work. But there is at least one process in place, the advice process, that's in place to be sort of the basis of how one makes decisions at the borderline. And it's a work in progress, as in Gustav left the board with this mind that he wanted to run Teal, which makes it, and then basically right after that, we had the first three advice processes start up, and those three processes were the placement, the Christian with the number of attendees, and then Gustav with what was his first one? That was remind me.
When you could transfer your ticket, or
no, the one before was
when you could arrive.
It's the one he changed his mind about. That how long before you have to come or leave,
right.
or
the closing the gate. On Thursday. Yeah. And basically, the position that I was in was these people wanted to try it out, and so I scrambled to create a process that was at least functional. And basically, it's like the way that it's going from there is that we're evolving it. Isadora?
Yeah, sorry, just like because there's so many questions popping up, so I thought it's better to like break you in a little bit while I have it. But yeah, so it's great, of course, that you initiated the process, had the Teal weekend. What was problematic is that it wasn't communicated, and as far as I'm concerned, it was never formally agreed that this would happen. So you took a unilateral decision to just hand out some advice process to various people who wanted to run with it. And that's how the Borderland 2017 was set up. And I personally, at that point, was so tired of all the other personal conflict between various members and so on that I just didn't object. I just let it happen. But I think this is quite a severe thing because it means that anyone who just wants to do something can just go and do it. And it's like, it's great, but it's also... There are also, liability, and unless you have any kind of structure, it's not the Borderland according to, you need to follow something. There needs to be some kind of agreement. There needs to be a process, and that process can't just be that some person decide to do something.
No, and it's not like that. I have lots of people wanting to say stuff. Who wants? Christian, I think you were first.
Yeah. First of all, I want to acknowledge that Dora said that she was tired of all the conflicts and therefore just let this one pass. That's exactly why we need this group to function again, because we cannot have that we let things pass because of conflicts. It's not going to happen again. No way. So we need this group to function in a loving, caring way, so that if this group is needed, we will be ready. That's rule number one, not a rule, guideline, I don't know, goal for me. Second, I introduced the term steel, and I'm actually pretty proud of it, because what I also see as a possibility with this steel thing is what I back in the early days called fucked up democracy. Exactly when people cook up some kind of process and then do what they want to do. And I've seen, for me, one clear example of a steal with the transfer process. Basically, one of the important things in teal is that if you do an advice process, as far as I understand from the little I've read, you have to kind of set aside your own ego. Like you're not doing the advice process for your own well-being or your own idea. You're doing it for the community. If we have too many processes where that doesn't happen, then in the beginning, the whole teal system will be a system without trust. So it's very important that the first processes we have will be done as sublimely as possible. And this one was not done in that way. So me and Jakob organized a counter proposal, and that led to what do you call it, a compromise. Anyway, so I've been very dedicated to, like, I've had my radar on this, and I've dug into every single thing I could dive into because I didn't want to step back because of old conflicts. I wanted to be sharp and direct when my radar hit something. So that's what I've been doing last month. Okay. And the teal steel thing is just, it's a good term for,
Yeah, I just have to say that when I looked into the process that Gustav did on closing the gates, it was a very good example of how it should be done. Like when I read the documentary of it, it became very clear how the decision was being made, and it was much easier to understand it. So when there is a documentation of the process, I think it's much easier to understand and follow how the decision is being made. So, and I also have to remind you that we decided on going teal before the AGM, and we thought the board for 2016 thought that would solve many of the problems we had within the board and within the organization. So even if the formal decision were made at the AGM, we had the discussion and the agreement to go teal before that. So we did talk about it in the board before.
Yeah, just a quick comment to that. Yeah, yes, of course we did, but then there was nothing presented to the board about what was going to happen. It just happened. Okay. Yeah. So that was my main problem with it, and also just a notion of people saying that we're stepping out of power, but then instead going straight into running all the processes. So it's like. Yeah. It like at the moment, to me, it looks like there's a board who has all this power and doing all those things, which we're not. At the moment, we're not doing anything but holding liability, and then other people are doing things in a process that hasn't been properly presented. But it's like to me, it feels like we could spend so much time discussing this here, and it's sort of. I don't think we're gonna reach any kind of conclusion, but I think it would be more interesting to see. So what do we do? What do we do forward now then? So what's needed in order to rebuild this trust and look at this situation we have, and which to my mind is just a bit of chaos. And what's the proposal forward? How do we go forward?
Anna?
Yeah, I'm just I just also want to chip into the conversation because it's quite it's difficult being new and not having been sort of following the conversations of the past board of 2016 and knowing why certain decisions were made. But I also obviously think we should look forward, like Isadora was saying, and see okay, how do we now work with this? But I also find it perhaps important to recognize that perhaps it's not an issue that people are just doing stuff. I think it's amazing when people do stuff, but I think in terms of liability, I think maybe it could be interesting to do some risk assessment, what are the risks of people applying processes to make decisions and the outcomes of those decisions, and look at that and see how we as a board can sort of facilitate and ensure that we're not putting people at risk, or I don't know.
Thanks. Jacob?
Yeah, I would just say I don't think that these processes have actually been at all that chaotic as they could have been. like as you said, Ulrika, like if you read the documentation on how all these processes have been made, there's like a very thorough documentation, and like people have actually put in all the different arguments against the different decisions and pro the different decisions. And it's like this process. I don't think that we can finalize this process and set it on paper that this is how this advice process and stuff are going to work. This is something that we need to evolve through the process of creating Borderland 2017, because like we can't know exactly what is the best way of doing this transition because we never made it before. So it will be a bit chaotic in the beginning, but I think we need to accept that.
Does what Jacob say make sense to you all?
Yeah.
I had a bit of a hard time hearing it because the connection was a little bit poor, but I think I got the most of it.
So I wanna also pipe in here and say that part of my own decision making around here, around this point, has been to sort of do a lean thing where we figure out what the processes look on the way, and that was a decision that I did make sort of unilaterally, and I apologize for that. I was rushed, and that being said, I would really love to work on bringing us back to where the board is relevant and where our expertise is like used, facilitated, and where the processes that are happening become transparent, so we can get our fingers in on the advice and also on the liability points. Christian, you were first.
Just half of the meeting is gone. I think looking forward is the key.
Cool.
Pointing out that I think it would be vital for us that those of us who are in Stockholm, we meet like in a quiet place, and face to face in beginning of March. Yeah.
I also want to make myself available to anyone for one-on-one sessions or one-on-two sessions or however many to talk about how the teal governance structure actually works and what the advice process is and so on. I would love to get deeper into it here, but we don't have the time. So moving forward, let's see it.
I agree to that the process going forward will be to transform Borderland into teal will be shaky. We need to explore and develop how to actually Borderland going teal will look like. And I don't see it's a conflict to actually to have two structures to some extent. I mean, we continue with board meetings and so on, and in the same time we are working to actually develop and design Borderland teal way.
Okay, Christian, quick comment.
I think we have to have two structures at the moment. It's the only way. Like we are radar for teal and supporting it if we want, or doing it ourselves if we feel like it. And at the same time, there is we are still the board, and teal is not in place yet, so we need to be the board if needed.
So let me just point out one structural thing. In the teal structure, the board does not lose its relevancy. The teal structure works on top of the board. The board is setting the frame for teal to be possible. In a well-functioning teal system, the board just doesn't need to do all that much work because they can keep their eyes out and see that things are basically working the way that they should. having people co-create all the solutions out there.
So the board is kind of holding it.
So the board is holding the platform as an active service.
Sure, but the problem for me is that there's no overview of what's going on. I understand, like as Jacob said before, that it's clearly described how the advice projects work, but there's no reporting to anyone. It's not clear. So to me, it's been a few people based on private conversations who have taken a lot of initiatives and done a lot of things around Borderland, and it hasn't been taking place in a transparent way. It hasn't been open, and when questions have been asked, that hasn't been. So going forward, my suggestion is that it needs to be sort of displayed, either through a presentation or something, how the board collaborate with the people in the teal process when advisory things are initiated. Like, what's the relationship here? What's the liability? Who steps in when, etc. All of those things are not clear to me at all, and then that's when and then at the same time there's been all those discussions about power. So it's like, it just feels like at the moment we have a very it's concentrated to a few people talking to each other in channels where no one can hear them, and that's problematic to me.
Isn't this point 3 on the agenda today? They're looking for.
Yeah.
On today's agenda, point 3 is about talking about the current projects.
Yeah, that's where we are. I think it's at least where I do the notes.
Okay. Can we start there now?
Okay.
I very much agree that more transparency is needed. I very much agree that we need the interaction between the board and and people following the advice process needs to be clear. The role that I've taken in the advice process is being the facilitator of it, holding the frame for the advice process. I would very much like to be much more transparent, but I need help doing that. I need to know what you need in order to feel like you're in the know. And yeah, okay, Jacob first.
Yeah, I just have to say that all of these advice processes, I wouldn't agree with that they have happened only in private channels. They've all happened on Facebook and on Slack, and they're written into documents that have been posted on Facebook and Slack. So if one has been active on these two platforms, one ought to have been able to access these documents. I can't find almost any part that's been happened in a private channel that the whole community have access to.
Jacob, I agree with that.
That wasn't the point.
Okay,
so it's like the advice process is clear, but it's not clear how it's facilitated.
Interrupt. Sorry. It's right that it was on Facebook and it was on Slack, but it was not on the Borderland email. And I think that's a first thing, is that when an advice process is happening, it should go out on the board email so people in this group are informed.
Yeah, that's
does that help a little, Isadora?
Well, I think maybe we should just leave this subject. No, I don't think it's enough to just be informed afterwards that things are happening. I would like to understand what you decided during this teal meeting, and how do you see things playing out at the Borderland. What are the relationship between the people who are liable for situations and the people who are taking on various processes? Because I don't feel comfortable at the moment at all. When something breaks down and someone dies or whatever next year, I don't feel comfortable.
Okay, I have a feeling that things are being said, and we all know what have been said, and we also have a kind of an idea what has to be done in order to meet the things that need to be met. We have 18 minutes left I think it's very important that we deal with the subject of 1,500 or more, and when.
Okay, sounds good. Christian, how to get into that one? All right. So there's a lot of momentum gaining behind the idea of increasing the number of memberships, and there's a lot of pressure amongst others, Gustav, that we increase the number before the lottery. I don't particularly think that's the best way to go. We've been on email today. And Alexander wrote us and suggested to go the same direction as Gustav is wanting to go. The counter proposed that it's not a counter proposal. The original proposal was from Christian to do 1,500, and that was based on basically not knowing what it takes. Which has sort of been the way that we've made the decision in the past. We've sat down and we've made an educated guess. My own opinion is that we're past the point of making educated guesses. Now we need to actually have statistical tools and substantiated guesses rather than educated ones. So the question at hand is kind of what would it take to increase the number of memberships, and I think that it's possible to do so, but I would want for this to be more than just an investigation of the possibility. I would want it to actually be one where we sufficiently explore this to the point where we actually have the beginnings of the organization that we need to have the borderland. So my proposal, as I outlined in the mail, is to basically hold off, calm down, and to make investigate what the organization needs to look like. And then have people commit to that organization as kind of an incentive to you have a membership now. How would you like to work for the rest of the people who didn't get memberships to get memberships? Okay, Christian.
Yeah. I am also with taking a breath and a step back, and I think ELS is a great date because it's there, and it's not so far in the future, but it's still I just think it's a great date. From now, if that's what we're doing from now until ELS, some of us have to really dig into all this thoroughly, and we need to figure out who before this meeting ends. I would love to be one of them. I hope Isadora will be one of them also, because you have one of the strong voices in one of the directions. You stand a little alone, so I hope you will be part of that process so you can keep an eye on it. If you don't have energy, that's also cool. I will be you.
Yeah, but this is a little bit refers back to the last point where we also didn't really make any decision about how to go take things forward. But it's who actually decides this now then? What's the weight of the board in regards to is it Christian who leads the process? What's the...
Okay, the decision was that we say 1,500 from now, and then at a later point, the board can decide to increase for some reason if they want. That was the decision. So basically, if that decision still stands, I haven't heard anything else, we as a board have the stick. Yeah?
But, so that's the decision that's already been made. There's a lottery, there's 1,500 memberships in the lottery, and that's it. And why do you want to change? Why do you want to change the decision?
The decision had an appendix and I stressed that many times, and that's why I want people to read the whole decision. In the appendix is said, if the board at some point after the 1500, because either that everybody was like we were really sure that this was going to be a great safe event, or that we were very unsure that it would be a safe event, could either somehow do something like whatever it took, whatever decision was needed, and there would be space for. So instead of having another process, going back to the board, okay, the board decides this. So that's where it is now.
Is does the board need to take another decision, or can we stick with the one we already have?
No,
that's the question.
The board needs to figure out if they want to use that, if we want to, at some point, consider raising the amount of memberships. And because of the pressure, I think we should take the pressure seriously and dig into it, so that we either say, no, we are not going to raise the amount, or we are going to raise the amount because we looked it all through and it looks great.
Can I just ask?
Wait, Matthias.
Just a question. I just have a question.
Yeah.
How many memberships are in the lottery? I don't understand it. Is it like, I mean, how many people are enrolled in it?
2,100.
2,100, but does that mean it's 4,200 because everyone can have a +1 that's not included? Or is it actually 1,200? Or 1,500?
There will currently be 750 winners of the lottery, and each of those get 2 tickets or memberships.
But the ones are also in the lottery.
They can only give it to somebody who's already signed up.
Yeah, so there is 1,500 winners of the lottery that are amongst the 2,100 that have applied to the lottery.
That's
okay,
correct.
Thank you. Then it's quite a big chance to...
Matthias?
No, I think everything is made clear now, that the advice process that Christian runs made a decision on 1,500, and then made a decision that the board can decide on increasing the numbers if we want, or we can handle it as we want.
Yeah. Okay. So what I would like to walk away from here is as close to a consensus as we can get. I want to write out in the relevant channels that the board's recommendation is to stick with Christian's decision, and to start a thorough, deep-going investigation to substantiate an increase in memberships if it's safe and responsible to do so.
After the lottery.
And after the lottery.
After the lottery.
Yeah. I'm gonna write it as a this is the recommendation of the board, and a recommendation bears with it quite a lot of weight. But in putting it that way, it doesn't become a controlling thing. But if anyone steps up and says, well, I don't agree, so we should do it differently, then they are basically committing a steal, as Christian calls it. That going against the board's desire here really needs to have a lot of power behind it. Does that make sense?
I think it's also really important to take into account that a lot of people early in the year think that they're going to go to the borderland, get a membership, and transfer it quite late, or rather close to the actual event. And I sort of sat on the other side working for Biletto last year and manually did all the transfers, and I think it was actually 500 people that changed their minds. So even if we do a thorough examination of people's engagement and how they see themselves participating and building a safe structure for the event, I think a lot of those people are actually not going to show up at the end of the day. So it's also difficult, gauging people's engagement.
I wanna just speak to that real quick. because to me, doing it this way is it's not so much like buckling under the pressure as it's responding to an opportunity to get a lot of people really involved already in February.
Yeah.
If we can get leaders to step up to take accountability positions already now, if we can have them galvanize the hundreds of people who've indicated an interest in joining civic responsibility roles, then I think we have a significant chunk towards actually doing this. There is one thing that I would actually like us to briefly discuss about this, because last year we had the opportunity to have a ranger come over from Burning Man that we declined. Do you guys remember that? Well, you were there. Might remember.
5 minutes, Brooks.
5 minutes. Maybe I'll save this for later. I think there are a lot of things that we can do also as a board, and we should consider using our board privileges to make sure that the structure is in place. Isadora.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things we can do, but also in regards to those rangers and everyone I repeatedly talked to at Burning Man, other leads for other regional events, at the mentorship, and now just last week, say grow slow. Like the recommendation from everyone else towards us is really clear. I also heard, there's a little bit in regards to what happened. There's this, yeah, they were brave and they're testing to do things alternative, and look how it went. I heard a little bit of that notion last week. So I would say that we should definitely wait and see until after the ELS, because I think a lot of people might, we need to sense into that community and see what they think is going on with us as well. And also, I'm sorry if I sound so defensive, but it's just like I feel like the only one standing up for these things, and maybe Christian a little bit now, and Brooks, you're shifting as well, but it's just like, it's just been so frustrating. So I'm sorry if that's coming across. I want to apologize for that.
Thank you.
Well, I want to say, Isadora, that I really appreciate that you standing up for this, and I truly support it as well. So I'm with you. Me and Isadora will meet on Thursday, sorting out safety stuff as well.
Ah, great.
Could I join you for that?
We can talk about it. I think me and Isadora will have a talk, but we come back to you.
Radical exclusion.
Yeah, I haven't met Isadora.
Oh, I want to be a part of that too. I can't. Ooh. Okay. Okay. So we have like 5 minutes left. So what we might be able to agree on is that Brooks writes to the community that if a decision is to be made for more memberships, it will be taken after the ELS or at the ELS where we have a meeting. Until that date, we as a board will dive into investigating all kinds of things that will help that decision being made or not being made, and we would love help from anybody.
And the lottery will be done as planned.
Yeah. One more thing, important that what we might do if we increase memberships is not to have another sign-up round.
Yes.
Only inside the current sign-ups. Yeah, because that's where we have the data. So that's an extra little thing. And then let's take it from there.
So then people that haven't signed up can
Sorry.
Up later.
One more thing. If somebody wants to do another advice process of this, I'm not sure it could happen without saying that the advice process I did was somehow not teal. You cannot just do another advice process without pointing out what was wrong with the former process.
Okay. So that's a whole can of worms in there, but I can just briefly say that that when the basis of making a decision changes, there is also the opportunity to change the decision.
Sure.
And that's sort of what is happening. Is that now we have more data, and we are working to turn that data into actionability.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I'll write you with the proposal for the text, so you can check that out tonight. Okay.
I want you to read the notes, so I have got it right.
Okay. Good. Any concluding remarks?
Sorry. Concluding remarks around this or the whole meeting?
The whole meeting.
I just want to have in there that if I get back now on the board, that I don't have the possibility to vote, like I'm not a full board member, that we've talked that through and decided on that. Because, when you put it up in the Facebook group, there were lots of protests. For me to be back on the board, we have to have another vote within the community, and it's too complicated. You can't do it.
Yeah. According to the bylaws, we are when someone is leaving the board, we are allowed to bring in another, but with that circumstance that you cannot vote.
Just to make clear that that's my role on the board, but apart from that, I will be a full board member with the same responsibilities. Okay.
And hopefully we need to vote.
We won't need to vote, no. I can still argue before you vote.
Two small things.
Yeah.
I would love to just hear who of you feel that they'll be ready to dive into this process until the ELS. If you know now. Like the 1500 stuff.
And Christian, we will have plenty of help. There are already people eager to.
I know.
I need to go, but yes, I want to be involved as well.
Thanks, Ishi. And okay, yeah. Last thing. I just want to make sure that we agree that we'll try to meet ELS. Those of us who are there.
Yeah.
Yes. How many of you are coming? Who's going to be there? Yes.
Everyone.
There you go.
Sweet. All right. Thank you for bearing with me. Thank you.
Hey. Bye.
Bye.